My voice trembled, soft and barely audible, like the wind slipping through an old, forgotten crack in the door. My throat tightened with every word, each syllable a struggle, as though holding back a flood that longed to be released. My heartbeat thundered against my chest, loud enough it felt like the whole world could hear it. Hands clenched tightly around the blanket, my breath came in shallow waves. In the silence of the room, every tiny sound seemed to scream, my secret, teetering on the edge of discovery. Hi, my name is May, and today I want to share a story I once vowed never to tell. A truth so heavy I buried it deep within me, afraid of what it would reveal, not just to others, but to myself. I grew up in a picturesque little town called Caramel by the Sea, California. A place so beautiful, so peaceful, it seemed like nothing bad could ever touch it. My father, Alexis, owned the most loved seafood restaurant in the area. He was admired by everyone, strong, disciplined, and always youthful in spirit. Even at nearly 50, he looked far younger, always taking care of himself, a regular at the local gym. He was my rock, the one who made me feel safest in the world. My mother, Sarah, was a literature teacher at the local high school. She was as gentle as she was wise. She could find poetry in pain and teach you to live life with empathy and grace. Nights in our house were filled with the soft hum of classical music and the rustle of pages turning under the soft lamp near the window, my mother's favorite reading spot. Their love for me was unquestionable. I was their only child, the apple of their eye. My childhood was wrapped in warmth, laughter, and unconditional love. I remember the way I used to rush into my father's arms every evening when he came home, the scent of the sea still clinging to him as he scooped me up, spinning me in the air. In his embrace, the world felt safe. As I grew older, I clung to those moments. I was sentimental, always the girl twirling in a pretty dress, craving compliments from the people who loved me most. My parents never failed to smile, their pride shining in their eyes. After dinner, I often curled up on my father's lap as we watched TV. It was our little ritual, an innocent comfort from childhood I wasn't ready to let go of. It made me feel like I still belonged in that warm bubble of protection. But things began to shift. At first it was subtle. My father's responses to my hugs became hesitant. His embrace still came, but it lingered in a way that didn't feel the same. He would look at me longer than necessary, his expression unreadable. The warm, fatherly affection I knew so well had acquired a strange intensity I couldn't quite place. I tried to ignore it, brushing it off as my own imagination, but doubt crept in. I found myself overthinking, watching for signs, wondering if I was being paranoid. Still, the uneasy feeling wouldn't leave. My father, though still the strong and kind man I loved, began paying more attention to me than usual. Not the protective kind of attention, but something different. He started noticing details, giving unexpected gifts, complimenting me in ways that made me unsure of how to respond. One afternoon I came home from school and found him lounging on the sofa, the television playing in the background. It was a normal scene, something I'd seen 1,000 times before. Without thinking, I jumped into his lap like I had so many times as a child. But this time, I felt it. That subtle but undeniable shift. The energy was different. The closeness felt strained. I stiffened, my instincts suddenly on high alert. I convinced myself I was imagining things, that it was nothing. But a part of me had already crossed into a space of discomfort I didn't yet know how to name. We sat like that for a few silent moments. I could feel his heartbeat, and my own began racing to match it. Then the front door opened. My mother walked in, her presence breaking the tension like sunlight through a storm cloud. I stood up quickly, heart pounding, trying to compose myself. No words were spoken, no accusations, no explanations, just silence. In the days that followed, I noticed my father watching me more often, speaking more softly, as if he were trying to rebuild something or hide it. The once carefree air between us had become heavy, thick with questions I wasn't ready to ask. Then came the day that would change everything. My mother had to leave town for a conference, leaving just my father and me at home. It was the first time we'd been alone for that long since I was a child. I didn't expect anything to happen. I didn't even know what something meant at that point. But what I do remember is this. That weekend, the walls of our house felt closer, the air heavier, and my thoughts louder. Every interaction, every glance felt amplified. I found myself retreating to my room more often, avoiding eye contact, overthinking every little thing. My father remained composed, maybe even more attentive than usual, but I was no longer able to interpret his attention in the same innocent way I once had. It wasn't about anything he did or said. It was about the feeling that had settled between us, a subtle, invisible barrier that turned familiar comforts into complicated spaces. That weekend ended without confrontation, but I emerged from it with clarity. I realized something vital. When your heart tells you something is off, you have to listen, even if you don't fully understand it yet. After my mother returned, I slowly began to redefine my boundaries. I created space. I started seeking emotional support outside my home, through friends, teachers, even journaling. I didn't accuse or explain. I just began the quiet process of healing and reclaiming my sense of self. To this day, I still wrestle with guilt, not because I did something wrong, but because I let confusion fester for too long. But I now understand that emotions, especially in close family relationships, can become tangled. It doesn't make you broken. It means you're human. If you're ever in a situation where something feels off, even if it seems subtle or confusing, trust yourself. You have a right to safety, clarity, and peace. Thank you for listening.